Hi, everybody. Ed Bixby here with the Global Green Burial Alliance with my co-host Gretchen Spletzer, and this is Spotlight Now.
Hi, everyone. This is Gretchen, and welcome to our spotlight. We are back, and today's spotlight is on Trina Wacasey, and she is from the Bay Area, Los Altos particularly, and she's a death doula and has a little business down there helping people out. She's also in our Global Green Burial Alliance network. So I wanted to interview her about her neat little business that she has with well, just about her business, but the unique thing that she has the little mobile unit that she can bring to families' homes. And I just thought that was such a neat idea. So welcome, Trina.
Thank you.
And so before we get into the mobile unit, let's talk about just how you got into being a death doula. And also, because you're from the Bay Area, I'm also curious what death doula school, if you went to one, that you went to.
Yeah. A lot of my colleagues went to ANELDA, the International End of Life Doula Alliance, but I went through training in Boulder, Colorado at the Conscious Dying Institute back in 2019 when we were able to meet in person.
Mhm.
So that's where I got my start in doula training. And I was influenced by a particular speaker in our class. You may or may not know her, Karen Van Buren. She started a nonprofit called Natural Transitions about 20 years ago. She's done films. She started a natural funeral home in Lafayette, Colorado with colleagues. And they had this concept called reverent body care. And I was really fascinated by what that was. And because at the natural funeral, they don't do embalming or anything like that, if a family wanted to come in and be with their person, they would just bring their body into the small room, kind of chapel-like room at their offices, and they could just be with them, spend time with them. They aren't in a coffin, they aren't made up, they're not embalmed, and it's super, super simple. And also the idea of home funerals, they do that there. That's a service that they offer, in addition to other natural stuff like terramation now and aquamation and green burials. They do all of that. One
Wow.
inspiring story she told me about, though, was at an assisted living facility when she was in her 20s. She worked at an assisted living facility. And when somebody died there, the residents would take care of that person. By that, I mean they would be with them, clean their body, sing songs, laugh, cry, tell stories, put flowers on their body. And then they would walk with the body out the front door when the mortuary came to pick up the body.
Wow,
And
so the patients of the assisted living would do that?
the residents who lived there,
Oh,
they would do that. And then the other residents would help take care of their friends who died.
sweet. Yeah.
I thought that's such a great model because so many times when there's a death, people feel like it needs to be secretive. We need to shut all the doors and take the body
Yeah.
out the back door because that's scary.
Totally.
So,
My Nana was in assisted living, and that's what they did. They
yeah,
didn't, yeah, they just shuttled her out, and everybody knew, you
yeah,
know.
that's the crazy thing is
Yeah,
people know.
yeah, because she had made a couple friends. She wasn't there very long, but I mean, she had a few friends, you know.
Yeah.
So sort of weird to not like do something in
This was the
honor.
first time of really sort of embracing death instead of turning away and being fearful of it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
And also in 2012, my dad died of pancreatic cancer in Houston, where I'm from. We came out to the Bay Area. My husband works for Google about 5.5 years ago, but in 2012, 12 years ago now, Dad died, and the funeral was quite expensive. It was $10,000 back then in Houston, Texas, which is a cheaper place to live than the Silicon Valley. And it occurred to me, looking back on it so many years later, we just did whatever the funeral director recommended we do. We got
Yeah.
him involved. We got this, we got that, and it just added up. And
Yeah.
I realized when I realized what an embalming is and how they do it, I would never choose that for a loved one again, and especially given that just keeping their body cool generally is
Yeah.
enough, unless there's reconstruction or something like that required from an accident. But I learned
Yeah.
a lot after that experience that it doesn't have to be just put all of the control in the funeral director's hands to tell you what how you should be spending your money when you're in grief and you don't really know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you haven't had any experiences with what our cultural process is, because you haven't really thought about it or faced it. And then there you are with a menu of services,
Yeah,
grief
yeah,
stricken, heartbroken, perhaps in shock.
all
And
of that, yeah.
yeah, all of that. And then no good planning for making a send off that's really healthy and supports the family's grief and
Yeah,
all
and
of
just
that.
spend time and hang out. Yeah, it could
Mhm.
have looked really different. And so I like educating people about these options so that if they choose it, they can. No
Mhm.
judgment if they don't want to. So many people, when I tell them, in addition to being a doula, I'm a home funeral guide, or I like to call it, instead of home funerals, family involved death care and guiding them through that.
Yeah.
That it's an opportunity. You can do it. You don't have to do it. And sometimes you don't even know until after your person dies if you're gonna, how it's gonna feel. But a
Yeah.
lot of times when I tell people that's what I do, they cringe. It's like, oh, that's awful, death, scary, yucky. And
Yeah.
they ask me, how can you do that work? It must be very depressing. And it's far from it, it feels like such a privilege and an opportunity to get to be with a family at the end during this really, really important pivotal moment. Um,
Yes.
so I find it very uplifting and it helps me think about my life every day that our time is limited. We're gonna die. Spend it wisely.
Yeah. The cringe factor, I think, in death, because I've been thinking seriously about this as I finish up school for being a funeral director, is the cringe factor actually is the embalming to me.
Yeah,
Like if I had to see that day in and day out, the embalming part, that would be really tough. But helping families handle their loved ones and making a beautiful transition process, like that's more like wedding planning, kind of in a way, because it's
yeah,
positive. It's positive and it needs to be done. And a lot of people don't know how or
right.
what can be done. And so, yeah, it's a beautiful service to be involved with.
And like a wedding, it can be very expensive.
Hmm.
Unlike a wedding, most people spend a lot of time and money planning for a wedding. Not everybody,
Yeah.
some people like me elope, but they spend a lot of time and money, and you could spend a lot of money and not really know what you're spending your money on. I want to be careful. I don't want to badmouth funeral directors, and I think sometimes in this end of life space, end of life doulas and funeral directors can kind of seem like they're at odds.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't want to
thought is
badmouth
to
them
be
either.
more
Some part, yeah, I know embalmers, and I don't because they're pretty proud of their work, and it is a work that is needed as funeral directors are so needed.
yeah.
But still, that I just wanted to say that that would be the hard part,
Hmm.
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And for the viewers, Trina and I have known each other for a few years and we've worked together. And what's inspiring about Trina is that, you have to be at the forefront of these conversations. And Trina, you've always been one that has been, I wouldn't use the word outspoken, but not afraid to speak your mind.
mhm,
And what I really found interesting was that you took the initiative, to create your little your mini mobile suite. And I think that that's really thinking outside the box. I'm sure the viewers would love to understand what that is and what that concept is.
I would love that. And I think probably I could owe some of the credit to you, Ed, because we talked a little bit about how we could do this reverent body care idea at Parisma Cemetery, in Half Moon Bay, one of your cemeteries that's 45 minutes from me. Um, And you had talked about an RV, you know, that you had an RV that you were traveling, living in. I've done the same thing. I've had a couple of RVs. I went up to visit Elizabeth Fournier and saw that she was renting her space. And all of a sudden, I just kind of put the pieces together and I thought, well, why don't I get an RV and try to, instead of trying to find space to rent, very expensive here. And if I had the right RV, I could make it work. And so I started looking for the right RV and I found the Happier Camper. It's a small RV built in LA. It's a startup company. And the thing I like about it is a big hatch in the back. Great big wide open hatch in the back. So it's easy to put a body in and to take a body out, to get in, to be next to be close. And it also has these big windows all the way around. So you can be close, but on the outside, you know, and so there's all this sort of safe neutral zone for the body. So when people say, oh, I don't think I could have a dead body at home, I was thinking, well, what about on your property? So if we could find private property in a beautiful place out here under the redwood trees or overlooking the Pacific Ocean, wouldn't that be lovely?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've always thought, I mean, it's a little mini mobile unit, but it's such a great idea because it makes a sacred space. It's kind of
Right.
an enclosed sacred space. And you can make that inside. I don't know how you have it decorated, but it could be candles, it could be golden, it could be, you know, made so special.
Yeah, well, my business is called Creating Honoring Spaces. And
Mm-hmm.
so it fit. And I really enjoyed outfitting the inside and the outside after I bought it. I bought it from a couple resale. And so I got a better deal on it. It was all white and I had it wrapped on the bottom in red. So it's red and white and it's bright and cheery. And
Mm-hmm.
it has a positive vibe to it, unlike a hearse showing up, which is a heavy
Yeah.
vibe. On the inside, I put some tile and then that still looked a little too industrial, so that I put a rug, a beautiful red rug, and
Mm.
I have red poppies that I put in the back, and I have lights and all different kinds of fabrics and things like that that can be changed out for the family to make it their own.
Yeah. So
And
in there, can they do you do with the family body washing in there?
it can be done in there
Yeah.
or it can be done in the home.
Mhm.
It's a little snug, but
Yeah.
we have the room and I've made it work. Um, but I also have a massage table that I can
Oh, right.
easily bring to someone's house, and that's a little easier to move around and work if you have the space. So either
So you
way,
could do that in the home and then you could move the body into there for vigil.
that's right.
Yeah. And then can you move the body in the trailer to the cemetery as well if you
Yes.
needed to?
Yeah,
Yeah. So it serves a lot of purposes.
it does. And another use is for clients who decide to do medical aid in dying.
Hmm.
Who might want a really beautiful place to see, like the Pacific Ocean or the redwoods.
Oh, yeah,
Any private
absolutely.
property, I can bring it there, and that could be their final sight, smells, sounds that they see before they die.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I envision, Trina. I mean, to be able to take them to this place that otherwise might be out of their reach,
Mhm.
because when they come to that point, we've dealt with so many families and so many people who have actually chosen that option. They're resolved and they want to feel good, comfortable, and happy in that moment. So
Yeah,
kudos to you. And it's really thinking outside of the box, which is important.
Yeah.
People need to understand that you have the rights to do these things.
that's right. They do.
Yeah.
And I also got training from Jerry Grace Lyons, who's very well known in the home funeral space. Her company is called, now I'm forgetting, Sacred Passings?
Final passages.
Final Passages.
I'm
Thank you.
a student of hers.
So,
Yeah.
um, she's a big proponent and advocate of families hanging on to the rights that they have to oversee their loved one after death, before, during, and after death. straight through to like a natural burial, like one would have at Parisma Cemetery.
Yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us today at the Global Green Burial Alliance, Trina, and we commend the work that you do. And anyone here viewing this today, I'm sure they would love to learn a little more about yourself and what you do and what services you have to offer. So how might they be able to reach out to you or find out a little more information?
I think the best thing to do is to go to my website. So if they just Google creatinghonoring-spaces.com, it should come up. And I have a lot of videos and things like that, so they can see the inside and demonstrations that I've done and give them an idea of how it could be used.
Yeah, and we'll link your website with this video when we post it too.
Wonderful. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Well, it was great talking to you, and I'm so happy that you're doing educating too, because that's such a huge piece of all of this, is to teach our communities what their options actually are. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Trina.
Yeah, thank you, Trina. And bye everybody. We will see you next time.